Howdy doo-dah. Lots going on today per usual, but I don't have this planned out very well. I did just come across this article that I haven't really gotten to read yet. I've just gotten to skim it, but I'm gonna read it here because it has to do with Seth Rich. And if you've been following Q, we have been waiting for Seth Rich information. We're always waiting for Seth Rich information. So I put a bunch of links below I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't even know if everything I'm going to cover is in the description box, but this link is in there. It's a Gateway Pundit article. Breaking lawsuit outs reporter Ellen Ratner as source for Seth Rich information. So I'm just going to read this really quick because I haven't gotten to read it fully myself. Hello, hi. Businessman Ed Bukowski filed a lawsuit on Monday that outed reporter Ellen Ratner as his source for the Seth Rich information. This comes after Michael Isakoff's report last week that labeled Budakowski as a Russian source. Ed told the Gateway Pundit today that Ellen Ratner lied to Isakoff. Ed provided the Gateway Pundit with a copy of this email with Ratner. Butowski added that he spoke with Isakoff off the record and he broke his trust by contacting Ratner. Butowski told the Gateway Pundit that after last week's report, he was forced to speak out. Ed also says he has more evidence that Ratner was his source on the Seth Rich information. Butowski claims Ratner gathered the information on Seth Rich after contact of WikiLeaks with WikiLeaks officials. The Gateway Pundit has not confirmed that information. Isakoff is already tied to the Trump and Russia collusion scandal after reporting on the junk dossier in his Yahoo report in 2016. The deep state leaked the info specifically to Isakoff, who they knew to be a friendly reporter. Quote, Ellen Ratner relayed information from WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to Texas businessman Ed Butowski regarding Seth Rich's role in transferring emails to WikiLeaks, according to an amended lawsuit that I filed this morning on behalf of Mr. Butowski. Although Ms. Ratner is by no means a Republican or a conservative, and her role in the Seth Rich saga, like that of journalist Cy Hirsch, obliterates the Democratic narrative that right-wing zealots fabricated the story about Mr. Rich leaking the emails from the Democratic National Committee. Mr. Rich, a DNC employee, was murdered in Washington, D.C. on July 10th, 2016, and the murder remains unsolved. Here's an excerpt from the amended suit. Mr. Butowski stumbled into the RCH Russian collusion hoax crosshairs after Ellen Ratner, a news analyst for Fox News and the White House correspondent for Talk Media News, contacted him in the fall of 2016 about a meeting she had with Mr. Assange. Ms. Ratner's brother, the late Michael Ratner, who was an attorney, had represented Mr. Assange, according to Ms. Ratner. She made a stop in London during a return flight from Berlin, and she met with Mr. Assange for approximately 6 hours in the Ecuadorian embassy. Ms. Ratner said Mr. Assange told her that Seth Rich and his brother Aaron were responsible for releasing the DNC emails to WikiLeaks. Ms. Ratner said Mr. Assange wanted the information relayed to Seth's parents as it might explain the motive for Seth's murder. So we have known that Seth was the original source of the WikiLeaks emails, and we have been being fed by the mainstream media that this was Russian interference, that they got these emails, whatever. And Seth obviously died under mysterious circumstances, and anyway, I mean, this seems like a pretty good confirmation. And I think that actually they've got, I had skimmed to the bottom, it seems that I might as well just read the rest of this. This is almost, actually, never mind, I lost my spot, so. But you guys can read it yourself because it's in the link below. But whatchamacallits. Yeah, I lost it, but I think July, what was it, 22nd is when the documents are getting released. Oh yeah, here. The complaint also mentions an interesting development in my ongoing Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the FBI. The feds claimed that they had no information pertaining to Seth Rich, but they appear to be changing their tune. Shortly after Attorney General William Barr announced plans to declassify documents related to the Russian collusion hoax, the FBI's attorney informed me that new documents were being processed. I should receive them not later than July 22nd, 2019. The DNC's objections to our subpoenas for, quote, Russian hacking information are also due on July 22nd, 2019, and production is due on August 8th, 2019. The more I reviewed the Seth Rich case, the more I'm convinced of its role in the Russian collusion hoax. I believe DNC officials knew that the emails would become public as a result of the internal leak, and they knew that the emails would be very damaging. So they attempted to turn the tables by pointing fingers at Donald Trump and the Russians. Hopefully we know more by next week. Hopefully. That sounds very, very good. Other than that, we've had, the lack of investigation into his cold-blooded murder shows that the MSN plays for one team. Exactly. He was mugged, yet nothing was taken from his person, and all very mysterious. Especially when you start to put together how many deaths like that we have. What other SH show should we move to next? We had Nancy Pelosi was banned for the rest of the day today by making remarks. Our tweaker of the House was banned from speaking. We have, I'll go over the new cues because I have that up right now. We had two new ones today. One of them was, hi, I don't really know what we're talking about. We're talking about everything that I've seen today. I saw a lot of stuff today, but I have not a whole lot of it. So whatever you guys want to talk about, we can talk about. So new Q 3436. He is referencing an old drop, or they are referencing an old drop from September 15th. They want you divided by race, divided by religion, divided by culture, divided by class, divided by political affiliation. Divided you are weak, together you are strong. We the people, where we go one, we go all. Q. And then Q has linked a tweet from Ilhan Omar saying, this president would love nothing more than to divide our country based on race, religion, gender, orientation, ability, or immigration status. This is the only way he thinks he can prevent the solidarity of working people. We're not falling for it. Yeah, either are we. Q says, define projection. Exactly. They accuse their enemies of what they are guilty of, right? I mean, these are, I'm sure a lot of you saw the press conference yesterday that they held over his tweet, which is kind of funny in itself. These are all freshman congresswomen who I have literally seen do nothing but talk about race and talk about division. And so, you know, that's very interesting. Then we've got 3437. It's basically just a bunch of pictures of Donald Trump with, you know, Snoop Dogg, and I think that's Jesse Jackson, and that looks like, I don't know who that is. I'm not going to say because I'll sound stupid, because it's a 90s guy, and I don't remember the 90s very well. But anyway, they're saying, what happens when the controlled, quote, controlled, are told to create a new false racist narrative, disinformation campaign? Do the sheep follow? Think for yourself. See truth. Exactly. Nobody ever accused Donald Trump of being a racist until he became the president or started to run for president. In fact, he was receiving awards and accolades for what he was doing, you know, in these communities. So yeah, I ain't buying it. This is still their biggest narrative. It is the word that they can throw at anybody to shut them up. And I still have yet to hear anybody give me some kind of a proof, something that he has done or said that is actually racist. This tweet that they're talking about from the other day, they are very conveniently leaving off the backside of that tweet, which was he said something to the effect of, you know, if you don't like it here, or if you don't like the way we're doing things here, basically talking about how some of these congresswomen come from countries that are a lot more, you know, or in a lot worse shape than ours is. He said something to the effect of, go back to those countries, fix them, then come back and tell us what you did. But of course, the media is only reporting on go back to where you came from, and we can see why. And people get all up in arms. He never mentioned anything about their, you know, race or whatever. Anyway, I don't know why he does the things that he does, but I do believe that there is a bigger plan there. I think that this is bait. There is talk among, you know, some of these people that these women are plants, just because they are so perfectly doing the job of what needs to be done, which is dismantling this side. They are radicalizing the Democratic Party so bad that it is pushing anybody towards the middle further right, and getting, you know, starting to support Trump more, because they're looking at these women saying these things that they don't want to be associated with. So it was funny, though. I did notice that his tweet, and I could be wrong, I didn't bring up the tweet, but I feel like when I read it, it was like a series of 3 tweets or whatever. And when he said that, it was almost like the, you know, he writes and then he'll go ... because he's in the middle of the sentence. And I do feel like the portion with the go back to where you came from was on one tweet, and then the ... and then it was like, comes the next tweet, like, and then tell us, and then come back and tell us what you did to solve the problems over there. You know, it just seems like he does it on purpose. And while that sounds crazy to anybody that might be new to this, or that hasn't been really paying attention for long, or that has been listening to the mainstream media narrative about him, that he's, you know, unleashed and can't be controlled, and he's you know, all these crazy things, it's really hard to believe that somebody would do something like that. But look at what happened. The fallout from it is that we had this press conference highlighting these 4 women who are the most extreme voices on the left. And, you know, you've got people like Nancy Pelosi even, who are trying to rein them in and be like, no, our party does not, you know, it's proven these women have been polled. They are not liked. They are not being liked by even the Democratic Party. I think Ilhan Omar was polling at something like 9%. Alexandria Cortez was polling at like 20-something% or whatever. So the people have spoken, and they are not a fan, I don't think. So now you've got, it's really, I think, pushing everything to a head. And, you know, highlight, we can't ignore that, you know, we can't ignore that anymore. So I think it's almost pretty genius. I believe he makes these statements in a way of baiting and directing the media to keep certain people / philosophies in the headline. Pelosi would love those 4 to lose all exposure. He prevented it. Well, exactly. And then also, you know, we've got, every time there's this, you know, craziness going on, there seems to be something that they're kind of backdooring at the same time. And, you know, that's interesting. They are very good at like directing people's attention over here to this sparkly thing while they're like busy over here doing something else. He's forcing them to take their masks off. Exactly. New rules. There are no rules. Push back and fight. Exactly. You know, some of you've really pushed, these radical ideas have really pushed people in the other direction, and I can attest to that, because once upon a time, you know, I don't want to get into it too much, but like even on the topic of abortion, I was in a certain position and had a certain kind of view of it, and what had been happening with all of these radical, you know, the whole shout your abortion thing, and partial birth abortions and late term abortions, and you know, making the baby comfortable while it's like alive, while the doctor and the mom decide what to do with it. This is now a born child. Really kind of forced me to open my eyes and be like, okay, what is it exactly that we are protecting when it comes to these things? Like, you start shoving all of these other scary things in with, like, where once upon a time you could be a person that said, okay, I mean, I do believe that you know, there are circumstances that abortion is necessary or maybe the right thing to do, you know, yada yada. You start forcing those people to then start to accept some of these disgusting things. Then people go, wait a second, back up, and they start to re-examine their position. So you really aren't doing yourself a favor. You're not doing a favor to, you know, that, if you are making it as bad as can be. The Monster Squad. I love that. They are the Monster Squad. I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that feels like Alexandra is, or Acacia Cortez is a plant. Like, she's a secret white hat or whatever, because she's just so perfectly dumb. And you know, whether she knows it or not, I mean, obviously I think that would have to have been a plan that went back a long time and was in the works, because of her background, because of where she came from. It does seem to line up with her being exactly who she says she is. But still, you never know. She's either a plant or we got real lucky. What do you think of all this hype about Area 51? I think that it is that exactly. It's hype. I think it's a deterrent for all of those that would be very excited to talk about Area 51, and, you know, keep our attention again away from the big stuff like the pedophile island and all of the connections to important people, including ex-presidents. Never mind that I don't even think there's really anything at Area 51 anymore. Never mind that it would be dangerous to do that. I just think it's something to, like, keep us dazzled and occupied while and away from important topics. Area 51 is so 30 years ago. Exactly. Yeah, I saw it, but I was like, I think I just didn't take it seriously from the second I saw it, and I didn't even want, there's just so much to focus on that's honest and true and deserves our attention, that when that kind of stuff comes up, I'm just like, I keep trucking. And another thing is, I was talking to somebody last night about this. I know I've said this repeatedly. What kind of got me into, like, opening my eyes into what was going on in the world was a lot of that alien stuff and secret space programs and you know, etc. That stuff is harder. I mean, that stuff is harder to prove. It's harder to open other people's minds to it if they're not already, you know, questioning things for themselves. So I feel like that's why I kind of tend to focus mainly on the current events and the stuff that's going on with Q, because these are things that we're getting actual proofs of. These are things that are happening in front of our eyes that I do think we're going to get disclosure for soon. Whether we get disclosure for our secret space program, maybe that's what Space Force is about, I don't know. But that would make me really excited. That obviously is like a passion of mine. But there's just so much to look through in a day that, you know, you got to pick and choose. That's why I feel like it would be everybody in this community, I feel like, is doing such a great job and you know, digging into things, but it is unfortunate that, like, some of us are all digging into the same things and that there are other things out there that are going unexplored because there's just so much going on, it's impossible to look into all of it. So that's why I also wait for Q drops and things like that, because I feel like Q and the people that follow Q do a really good job of keeping us privy to the really important pressing stuff. In fact, Q even said, these weren't from today, but Q has alerted us to keep out for, what was it? Recently they said that Planned Parenthood, something with Planned Parenthood was coming out. We did have Planned Parenthood news today. Some woman got fired. If you read her tweet, it's so bad. If you read the tweet from that woman, I forgot what her last name is. I think I retweeted it, but anyway, the responses to it are just brutal. Brutal. And then also Q had told us recently that Jussie Smollett, federal charges coming. Watch the news. These people are stupid. So something to keep an eye on. Another Q related thing is that Q, Kate, do you follow A Call for Uprising or Hacking the Headlines? No, I don't know about those. I did not read your thread today. I will go and look. And then I will put a link below after I read that in this video. What was I going to say? Oh, Dronanon. I believe he goes by Rusty Shackelford. Did I put a link below? I don't think I did, unfortunately. But there is an Anon going on Epstein's Island right now, going around and taking drone video of the entire island up close to some of these doors that just lead into mountains and a bunch of really weird stuff. And I almost feel like I've heard people say too that they are curious if this person is linked to the Q operation or the Q team, possibly, because I think, you know, they kind of came out of nowhere and they had all this really great footage, and their entire YouTube channel is full of these images, and yeah, it's really great information to have. It's been really interesting to go through. I haven't gone through all of it, but there are Anons out there going through. I mean, he's got folders upon folders of these things. So that is interesting. Yeah, Dronanon is not their name. I don't even know. I think it's Rusty Shackelford or something. I don't know if you guys can see who I am subscribed to on my YouTube channel. I don't think I have it private. I think I have it public, so I think you probably can. And if you can, then you can go directly to that. What else happened today? Oh, okay. So also 30 minutes after we had this tweet or this Q drop about they want you divided by race, religion, culture, class, political affiliation, we had a tweet by Mr. John Brennan saying, our nation is at a historic crossroads, whether we will be divided, racist, and bigoted society as espoused by real Donald Trump and the Trump Party, or a country that prides itself on diversity, inclusion, and freedom of expression. Our future and domestic tranquility are at stake. Yeah, shut up. Oh, we also had Adam Schiff. Let me bring that up. I forgot about that, but I think that that's an important one. Adam Schiff is probably sweating. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking right now. Where? I am gravely concerned about the threat of deepfakes. Remember, deepfakes are those videos now that, you know, you can make it look like you have somebody else's face and voice. A well-timed, convincing fake video of a candidate could hijack the 2020 election and even change the course of history. I sent letters to Facebook, Twitter, and Google urging them to plan ahead. I bet you did. Remember, these people have incriminating videos possibly coming out. And of course they're nervous about that. Of course they're trying to jump in front of that narrative, and with this deepfake, you know, technology. Unfortunately for them, there are going to be ways to tell whether a video is a fake or not. So good luck to you. If you have done nasty things and somebody caught your nasty things on video, we might see those nasty things, and then you deserve whatever is coming to you. Hello, guys. All right, reading some of these comments. You are part of the movement just by helping. What you're doing right now counts. Thank you so much. I had a very, yeah, Rusty Shackelford comes from King of the Hill. I have never watched that show. So I don't know, but I did know that for some reason. I recently went to a party with a bunch of girls that I went to high school and college with. And so I've known these girls a really long time. And you know, keep in mind, nobody really in my life knows that I do this. And so it was very interesting. It kind of came up, you know, I don't even remember really how it came up, but it was like, we were talking about TV or something. And then people, they were asking me like what TV shows I watch. And I was like, oh, I don't watch TV. And they were like, huh? And then somehow YouTube came up. I don't even know. But anyway, I started to talk to them about what it is I do. And it was very eye-opening to me. I always forget how removed I am from, you know, I do keep myself very isolated with people that are already kind of getting it, waking up, questioning things at least. And it was really interesting having a conversation with these girls who are very bright and really good people and stuff, but they've never heard of any of this before. And having to start from the beginning all over again. I think I even, when I did my first videos on here, even just talking about the introduction to Q or what is the Great Awakening, I think I kind of came at it from an angle that was at least kind of, you know, assuming that whoever was watching it got at least some of this. And I forget that most people out there still don't even know what the deep state is. They've never heard, I mean, they're not really even paying attention to what's going on in politics other than that hearing that Trump is a racist. And, you know, it was interesting trying to like, to start them from the beginning. I mean, I also had another friend call me a couple days ago. He was like, all right, give me the 15-minute version. What is Q? Go. And so that was a challenge. But again, that friend tends to be more kind of, I guess, he's more there than some, for sure. So that wasn't as hard. But, you know, of course, these girls, they know me and they like me, I think, and no, they do. And of course, I can tell they're like trying not to look at me like, uh-oh, Kate's lost it. But also at the same time, they were getting it. And there were a few things, you know, we got on the topic of the border and what's going on there. And, you know, I was bringing up human trafficking and how separating, how we had something like, what was it, like 30% of the, they were doing those rapid DNA tests and with the people coming over with children and discovering that something like 30% of them were not related at all. They're saying, this is my child, and they're trying to bring them across the border. That is a problem because we've got human trafficking to the tunes of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of children and young women. And once they get in our border, there's no knowing where they're going, what's happening to them. And, you know, that was something that caught these girls' attention because they're all moms. And they were like, I've never thought about it that way. You know, of course, it sounds all like loving and free, you know, whatever, hippy dippy, to be like, just let them all in. But to what's going on with, like, if you don't have anybody checking out who these children belong to, you know, that's a major problem. And people might feel like they get in easier if they've got children. So whatever. Anyway, you know, there always is going to be that one little thing that you'll bring up with somebody that suddenly, like, something will click and it'll speak to them and they'll be like, huh, I could see their perception shifting, like, whoa, I've never looked at that way before. And so sometimes it just takes that one thing. I feel like it would take at least 5 hours to give somebody even just the basics, and that's not even an exaggeration. So yeah, that was interesting. That was an interesting thing to go through because I don't do that often. I don't go out into the great wilds of the universe and talk to people that aren't you guys about any of this stuff. It's like I'm living a double life. Me and Q are the ones that talked about how these people are sick in the world. Sorry, I've kind of jumped ahead. Kate is approaching 4K. You have to give her a minute. She has the backing of Edge of Wonder. She will go exponential. Yes, those guys have helped me immensely. I literally wouldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for those guys. That has been, uh, something very, I don't take for granted, because again, I recently, met somebody else who's, has actually been awake since 2010. And he was telling me again how lonely it's been, and how he hasn't had a community. He hasn't even had a person to talk to. So it was really cool for me to meet not only other like-minded people that were looking into this, but like Ben and Rob, and there were a few other people that I met that weekend who were also just encouraging me to start a YouTube channel. And because they are encouraging, just like I am now too. I am like I'm an extension of them now, telling everybody that like your voice is important too. There are going to be people that I can reach that maybe they can't reach. There are going to be people that you can maybe reach that I can't reach. And maybe that means talking to people on, just in your family or your friends or your inner circle, or maybe that means starting a YouTube channel for yourself. Maybe that means starting an anonymous Twitter and just, tweeting and retweeting and, being a presence on there. All of that is important, and you never know what it's going to be. Something that I think is very inspirational is that, and keeps me motivated, is just to think that if you can open one mind, just, by talking to somebody, and you maybe plant a seed, even if it doesn't look like you got anywhere with them, but, you walk away and later on that seed starts to sprout and you can change one mind, you literally have doubled your power as a human being. You have doubled your power. So that's one person. And, I think that with the suppression of social media and all of these platforms, it's really hard to gauge exactly how many people we are reaching. I tweet it, like I get 1 or 2 likes maybe on a tweet. Nobody cares. Nobody seems to care. But then I have a ton of people reaching out to me privately, expressing, saying how much they appreciate me and stuff like that. So I don't think those 1 or 2 retweets by like the same 2 or 3 people, one of them being my mother, is really indicative of the actual reach. So, yeah, just don't be discouraged when it comes to this stuff. I went on Facebook the other day. I don't even remember why I went on there to check something, or somebody sent me a message, or I got tagged in something, and I immediately start to feel that again. Like, I read a few posts in there and it was scary. It was so scary. And I was like, oh, this is why I don't go on here. I had to flee. So, while it's not good for us to sit in an echo chamber and just regurgitate the same ideas back and forth, it's important for us to go out there and to start talking to other people. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to sit on Facebook, like basically the worst of the worst, where not only are you being like, you're going to get jumped on in a major way. You don't have to do that to yourself. But if there's anything, having conversations within your community, starting a community, like I've even talked to people that are, desire to, what are those things called, like meetup or whatever, to do that. I had even thought about that in the beginning when I had nobody to talk to. I was like, I wonder if I could do a meetup in my area. And then I was like, oh, it's kind of dangerous for a woman. Like if I was a guy, I might have done that. But yeah, it's an important part of all of this. That's literally what all of us are here for, is just to keep the conversation going. Maybe sometimes add a new perspective. Like I said, we can't all like aggregate every single bit of what's going on. And so I feel like, again, I don't tweet a lot of my own thoughts other than just like shit posting, like I said, or making fun of, oh man, I miss Eric Swalwell. I liked making fun of him so much. But I really do follow a lot of really great people and, retweet. I'm a good retweeter. And you know what? That might sound like a really dumb thing, but I think that stuff like that is important. How does a mod delete a post? I don't know. Do we have a troll? That's something that Brendan Dilley talks about a lot too, is that, you know, his reach. He does, he has sponsors for his show. He does his show like, I don't even know, 10 a.m. every morning. I really recommend. He's on Periscope. I usually find him through his Twitter. It's called The Dilley Show. His name's Brendan Dilley. He's great. He is really funny. He's really on top of things, et cetera, et cetera. But he does a Periscope, and I think they're really crushing his numbers. And it looks like, I mean, even though it looks impressive to me, he's got, you know, maybe a couple thousand people watching him when he goes live. I really think it's a lot more than that. And he has sponsors, and his sponsors are all crushing it. So if he doesn't have that many people watching him, why would his sponsors be doing so well after they start to sponsor him and he's advertising for them? Obviously, there are a lot of people watching him, a lot more than what meets the eye. What is a mod? Oh, bless your heart, Rachel. Moderator for the chat. Just in case we get trolls. Do we have another troll? I heard we had a gross one last time. That's fun. I'm a good retweeter too. Haven't even figured out how to use the tools for adding media to tweets. Yeah, I think Twitter pretty much just does that for you. If you just put a link in a tweet, it will automatically convert videos and pictures for you. And links, I mean. I think one of the problems with Twitter is people follow hundreds, if not thousands of people. Most tweets are never seen for that reason. Well, yes and no, because I have another Twitter that I never use, and same thing. I follow, I don't even know how many I follow on there, but a lot. And I have a lot of followers on there. And once upon a time, before I ever mentioned Q, I had a lot of engagement, and I would, you do know there is something artificial that's going on, and I don't think it has to do with, because I'll see the same 3 people over and over again, even though I follow something like 500 people. So, and then there are certain people that it'll occur to me after a couple days, like I haven't seen anything from this person in a long time, and then I'll have to go to their page to actually see their tweets. Every once in a while, I'll notice I'm no longer following them, which is lots of fun. So you do have to watch out for that stuff, but don't get discouraged by that. Just honestly, just keep trucking. If we all do that and we don't get discouraged, they're going to lose their power over us. They can have as many bots out there regurgitating the same like dumb stuff that nobody really believes and try to stymie our message and make us all feel like we're alone and, nobody else believes us. I'm telling you, we are the quiet majority. Yes, Zuckerberg, that little lizard. It's invigorating doing research on your own as well. I agree. And super important, and it will change you. Hearing different stories, it might be exciting, and it might change your opinion for a little bit, or it might get you activated for a little bit, but nothing is going to activate you like reaching a conclusion on your own and finding things for yourself. I am more of a sharer myself. Kate, what do you think about Trump claiming his subs get deleted during his social media conference? That was priceless. I didn't see it. I didn't see that. I follow then mute on Twitter to control what I want to see in my feed. Well, another thing you can do on Twitter, which I have done, is, although I just started mine, so I won't share it with you guys yet until it's like totally done, but you can make, what are they called? Lists. So I make a list of all the people that I make sure that I want to see every time they tweet, and I'll stay on that list for a while, because, while I don't follow every single person back that follows me, I do try to follow really anybody that's talking about Q. So I do follow a lot of people, but some people do those like trains, like the MAGA trains or the Trump trains or whatever. And I don't have time for that. So it's unfortunate that that's kind of like a lot of what I see. So I make these lists, and you can make private lists too, so that you're not like hurting feelings or whatever, but then you're more likely to see all the accounts that you want to see, the tweets that you want to see. I'm followed by a small bit, and even then I only reach a third of that number, which is fine, keeps me out of the limelight so I can work. Well, you're doing great work, and you know, maybe they are seeing it. I can say though, I follow you and I never see your stuff. So while in the grocery store, I look at my phone and yell Q drops and look around for a knowing look. I've literally done that at my gym. Well, not exactly that, but the Q drops app that I have, when a new drop would come in, it would be like, it would make that drop that drop sound, and I would have my sound turned up all the way, and I would look around. I've also worn my Q shirt to the gym. But yeah, that Q drops app, I don't know if I've recommended it to people and then they say that they can't get it. So I don't know if it's not available anymore. I have an iPhone. I don't know if it's like an Android thing, but I could have sworn I've had people that have iPhones also tell me that like it's unavailable for them. So I don't know what you guys work. As far as getting an alert, that's what I use. But as far as like day to day, going on the qmap.pub is a great site. I always, when I talk about Q, or I try to always link it below. It's linked below in the description of this one. Because it's a great resource for a lot of different reasons. But when people ask me, you know, how I check into Q, I have my Q Drops app, which looks like a little flaming Q, if you can see see it in the App Store for the logo. And then I go to qmap.pub. And 8chan. And 8chan's got some wonkiness going on right now. The board owner has recently made a bunch of changes that I don't necessarily agree with. And I think there are other people that aren't really too stoked on it. One thing is that they moved the notables, which if you don't go on 8chan, like, this won't mean anything to you, whatever, you don't care. But to those of us that do go to 8chan, and to those of us that are trying to encourage people to go to 8chan and at least look at this stuff and see where this stuff is getting worked on, it kind of just made it a whole lot harder. And you're going to get less eyes on some of these, what we call notables, which are the important things. Like, obviously there's a lot, there's a bunch of chatter that's going on. And then somebody every once in a while will post something really important. It doesn't necessarily get, I mean, you cannot keep up with the influx of all of the information. So when other people see something and it's important, then they'll call attention to it, call it a notable, then they end up putting it at the top of these breads or threads or these, whatevers, so that you can see them more easily. And now they're in their own separate place, which means they're going to get less eyes on them, unfortunately. Not only that, but it's going to mean that we've got, they're harder to respond to. The whole 8chan itself is just this whole different beast. And I get it. It's not meant to be a hospitable environment, whatever, but the entire point of this is to get eyes on things, to get new researchers. You never know who out there has great information or great skills at digging that you're going to deter because you're being a butthead. So there's my rant on that. And it's unfortunate. So don't get discouraged if you're new to Q. You don't necessarily have to go to 8chan in order to get this information. Honestly, I think that Twitter it's my favorite for getting information, because it's like you will find those certain voices that speak to you and that are, after a while of watching people, you start to be able to see kind of who's unwavering and who isn't. And, then you can keep an eye on those people, and those people are doing a really great job at keeping the rest of us informed. So it's also cool because you can interact, you can be anonymous if you want to be, you don't have to be. It's a lot nicer of an environment. You'll find kinder people, kinder messages. So I've had people tell me, I'm not on Twitter or whatever. I get it. I get why you wouldn't be on Facebook either. Like, we should all delete our Facebooks, but not that it'll matter anyway. they all have that information. But Twitter, you know, just make up some dumb handle and just use it to get information. You don't have to go on there and show pictures of your eggs Benedict in the morning, or, you know, fight with Cher. But Cher has been very interesting to me lately because she seems so lost. And also, I don't know where she learned to type or write or speak, but she's something. Yeah, and then they took, what's his face? They're constantly also deleting people off of Twitter that I follow, and that's maddening. Some people will come back, they'll make a separate account and have to start all over again, and I appreciate when they do that because it's important for those people to be out there. Some people just give up and they're like, screw it, I'm just not going to be on this platform anymore. And that's a shame because we shouldn't let them defeat us like that. If they knock us down 100 times, we should get up 101 times. Yes, Amazing Polly, I brought her up in my last one. She is awesome. I haven't watched a ton of her videos just because I haven't watched a ton of anyone's videos, but so far everything I've seen from her I've really liked, and it seems like she's really good at researching. I yike that, and I yike that she's a girl too, because there aren't a lot of girls just looking into, you know, the Q stuff and the you know, the day-to-day things. There are a lot of girls out there talking about, you know, the spiritual stuff and you know, maybe even the alien stuff, and that's cool too. But like I said, you got to have all these different voices because some people are just not ready for certain information. Some people are just completely opposed to certain things and maybe will never be ready for them. And so, yeah. Kate went woke. God, that word has gotten trampled. It's like when my mom would start to say like a slang word and then you just knew it was done. Talk about aliens. Let's see. Have I ever told you guys my alien experience on here? Or I don't know, it's an alien. It could have been an extra dimensional being, but I don't know if I've ever told that story on here. I could tell that. Googled the mod thing. I'm on it. Good job. Yep. I am a modern day unicorn. I'm 26 years old and a male, and I don't have any social media accounts. I only really watch YouTube. My old friends probably think I died. It's better that way. All I need is my girlfriend. That's cool. I mean, yeah, there's nothing out there saying that we have to broadcast our lives to everybody just because we went to high school with them or they're our cousin or we worked at the Sizzler with them when we were 17. So good for you. As long as you're getting your information, really, human contact is way better than any of what's going on. Okay, so my experience was when I was like maybe 11 years old. I was sleeping in the living room of my house, and when you walked in my house, it was like, here's the front door, and to the right is the dining room, and to the left is the living room. So it was like the length of my whole house. The couch that I was sleeping on was this, I shared a room with my sister and we didn't get along. So I slept on this couch a lot. And so sleeping on this couch is against this wall in the living room. I'm looking all the way to the other side of my house and I'm fully awake. I hadn't been asleep yet. I was just kind of, you know, thinking to myself. I see out the window this little blue light and it kind of caught my eye, but I was just like, okay, maybe there's a car somewhere. It's a reflection or whatever. And so I turned away and I'm thinking again, and I turn back around and it looks like the light is bigger, and now it looks like it is hovering above my dining room table. And again, I'm like, what is that? It looks like, you know, it was just like this little blue glowing light. And I was staring at it, but then I was like, am I seeing this? And I was like, well, whatever. Again, it could have been just like a reflection. So I closed my eyes and I could, you know, like, you know, when you're looking somewhere else, you could feel somebody looking at you. That's kind of what it felt like. And I opened my eyes and there was this blue orb that was, I would say it's glowing, but it wasn't shedding light on anything, if that makes sense. And I stared at it for a second. I mean, keep in mind that I was 11 and everything was scary to me. And, you know, so just even the fact that I was able to look at it for a few seconds or whatever without screaming my head off was kind of telling. I did have this kind of calming feeling that came over me, but then it kind of clicked, like, what is this? And I felt this feeling, this kind of exchange with it, where what I would explain now as being like this transfer of energy that I would say downloading now, but I wouldn't have known that word back then. So anyway, I just felt this like transference of energy, and I instantly got scared. And it's weird because I could feel this almost maternal energy from it. And again, this is something that doesn't have a face. It can't make facial expressions. It didn't make a noise. So I don't know exactly how I got this impression. But it was almost like this maternal, like, oh, no, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to scare you. That's what it felt like. Anyway, I closed my eyes. I pulled the blanket up over my head and I said, please go away, please go away, please go away. I swear to God, if you go away, I'll never tell anybody. But, and it did, it disappeared. So anyway, I didn't tell anybody for years and years. And I think I was like 19 years old when I told my mother about it finally. And my mom was then later on watching Oprah, and Oprah had on this woman named Sylvia something. Was it Sylvia Brown? It might have been Sylvia Brown. And Sylvia Brown was on there talking about orbs and how, you know, people capturing orbs in photographs and things like that, and talking about how they were guardian angels. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. I think I even bought one of her books or whatever. And so I kind of like chalked it up to that. I had never heard of anybody in life having another blue orb experience, and which is weird because I was kind of into aliens and I watched Ancient Aliens and I had a couple books on it or whatever. It was just not something that was in my on my radar, and I had never really talked to anybody about it. And Kate's making deals, and I didn't exactly hold up my end of the bargain, did I? So anyway, I was telling somebody about it last year, and they were like, I was like, oh, like, do you know, actually, no, I went to Alien Con with my sister last year in Pasadena, and there was a MUFON symposium, and they were like asking people to get up and ask questions and stuff. And I got up and I was like, is there such a thing as a UFO that's inside your house? Like very small and inside your house? And everybody started laughing at me except for the panel. And the panel all looked at me and they were like, yep, yep, we know what you're talking about. And they kind of explained that this was probably not a UFO per se, but this was probably more of a being, and that, you know, whatever. But they did later on say, the guy that was kind of running the panel was like, to the girl that had that experience with the orb, stay after, please, and come talk to us. And so I was kind of texting my friend who, you know, knows stuff about, a lot of stuff actually, about aliens and MUFON and all of that stuff. And he was like, no, don't stay, get out of there now. And so I was like, okay. He's like, you don't want to go on their list. You don't want them to take your number down. You don't want that, go. And so I did. But it was later that I was talking to him and I was like telling him about this experience, and he was able to tell me, he's like, oh, did it feel like you were downloaded? And I was like, yeah. And he was saying back all of these things to me. I'm like, how did you know? He's like, this is like an experience that a lot of people have had. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, look into this and this and this. And so I didn't know that it was like a thing. Yeah, I'm real deep. So anyway, that was like my alien experience, but it did leave an impression on me. I do think it's one of the reasons that I've been more open than some to, you know, that there's something else out there, that we're not given the full story. I don't believe that if these things are true, and I know that, you know, ipso facto, I have had this experience. I know I'm not crazy. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't sleeping. I know for a fact I had this experience. I don't think there's anything special about me. There must be other people having these experiences too. And if that's the case, then I'm sure people in positions of power probably know about it. And so why isn't this common knowledge? So, you know, I'm appreciative of that. That was really like, I had a lot of like ghost stories kind of things and some other strange experiences that I never really thought I had had a lot until I started talking about this with a few friends this year. And they were like, whoa, you've had a lot of weird stuff happen to you. And I'm like, I guess. Nothing major. I don't think I was ever like brought aboard a ship and like taken to my home planet or anything. But, yar. And also, you don't want to talk about stuff like that and get, you know, I don't want to lead with that because there are people that have a very strong opinion that, you know, all aliens are demons or whatever, or, you know, whatever. I don't necessarily think this was something from a different planet. Maybe this was something that was from a different dimension. That's also something that is new to me. Learning about that in the past couple years has been very interesting. I was very cut and dry. I was like, okay, so we've got Earthlings and we've got Martians. And like, that was it. It didn't really occur to me that there were like other galaxies or that there were other dimensions maybe on this planet or whatever, that there are probably there's a lot of energy going around us at all times. So, you know, you kind of want to stick with people and like what they're comfortable with or whatever, so I don't scare anybody away. I could probably scare all of you away if I tried. If I sat here and told all of my stories, I could probably watch my number just like go down one by one. Be like, oh my God, who is this chick? I can't help it. On one hand, I wish I had seen more stuff because, can you say thank you, Baker? Thank you, Baker. Are you going to put that in your commercial for whatever, for 8chan? Now I'm getting back into the comments. L.A. Marzulli has interesting info on aliens. He was on Ancient Aliens, but quit because they kept editing him into making it sound like he was saying things other than what he was actually saying. I believe that. You know, I've had this conversation before a million times, but Ancient Aliens is one of the things that woke me up. Actually, I talked about this in my Awakening video, I think, but there was a book that my dad had when I was a kid, and it was a Time Life book, and it was about like crop circles and things like that, and it was a huge part of my awakening, silly enough, because when I was going through that, I was like, how do you explain these things? Actually, I bring that up because just the other day I was going through all my dad's books and I actually found it, and so I have it. Maybe next time I'll show it to you guys and show you some of the things that are in it, but I love it, and I'm so happy that he kept it all this time and that now I own that. But scariest ghost story. I was actually held down on a bed one time by a woman wearing black lace. Will that do it for you? Yeah, I can't explain it. And I know there's, you know, sleep paralysis. This was not that. It was very weird. But other than that, that was like the scariest and also probably like the only one I've really had, other than just like seeing little things here and there. And I've seen a lot of UFOs since in the last couple years, but like little blips in the sky and things like that. And I saw a fireball, and you know, these aliens come to my house every Thursday and we play Parcheesi. That's not real. Tell your sister to stop wearing black lace. It wasn't my sister. I wish. Actually, I don't wish, because my sister used to hold me down while I was sleeping and spit in my ear. It was a good childhood. You didn't see a UFO. Swamp gas from a weather balloon was caught in a thermal inversion and reflected the light from Venus. You know? That makes a lot more sense. Area 51 is military area. They're testing now toys. There is now UFOs. No UFO. Where we go one, we go all, but in Spanish. Donde va uno, vamos todos. Es muy bien. Sí, es verdad. Some of these I'm not reading out loud. You and my sister would get along. Why you like to spit in people's ears? That's gross. I was held down by a woman in black lace, but we're divorced now. Yeah, that's good. But I love that stuff. You know, again, the night that I went down the pizza fence rabbit hole was like that month I had spent, like, I couldn't sleep at night, and I had this conspiracy theory group that I was going in, and I would get into bed and I'd be on my phone, like, reading all that stuff, and it was super titillating and exciting. And during that time, I was also going onto Reddit and going into the scary stories sections, and I loved it. And I loved it / hated it, because then I couldn't fall asleep ever. And I was like, why do I do this to myself? But I love it. And I think I was telling you guys last time that I'm in a mom group on Facebook, and they were recently doing that. I don't know. I love, you know, that stuff has always spoken to me. When I was little, even, I loved movies about ghosts and, you know, one of the movies I loved when I was little was Watcher in the Woods. Have you guys ever seen that movie? Actually, Watcher in the Woods, one of the women from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was the little girl in that movie. But anyway, it's about, like, and then you're like, okay, now knowing what I know, there's so much satanic symbolism in that movie, and it's literally about kids doing this, like, satanic ritual in the woods, and they, like, accidentally knock their friend into a different dimension. And then she's, like, communicating to them through, like, this, like, through a mirror world, or I don't know, it's weird and it's scary. And when I was little, I liked scary stuff, and I could watch it. I had those scary stories to read in the dark books. And now that I'm older, I'm actually way more of a wuss. I don't even think I could read some of the stuff that I read when I was little. Maybe it's just too real now. I don't know. I am a Housewives nerd. I haven't watched Housewives again in like 2 years, but I used to know literally everything about those stupid broads. It was all I cared about. It was all I ever talked to anybody about. Like my best friend and my mom, it was all we talked about. I mean, if you're looking for meaning in your life, really, I think it was just making me feel better about myself. It's like, these women are so out of control and their lives are such garbage, and they are just awful to myself. I was like, please don't let me be a 50-something woman, like having a birthday and talking about, this is my day. What are you doing on my day? You don't talk to me like that on my day. How do you not come out of that feeling better about yourself? It was really like, you know, before I discovered antidepressants, it was just, you got to do what you got to do. Actually, that was after I discovered antidepressants. I was just like sitting there like a zombie, like, these women suck. Like Doritos on my chest. Like, it's so fun to judge other people, right? But then you got to wake up and you got to start realizing that there's more important stuff out there. And then it's just, it's not even attractive anymore. It's not even interesting. I just look at that. I'm like, God, how did I even watch this? Although my mom had it on the other day, and I sat down on her couch. I was doing something else, and I kind of looked up, and I was like, could feel myself getting sucked in. And I was just like, no. Turn it off. I can't watch this. Where can you read the pizza fence emails? Good question. WikiLeaks, I believe now is, well, at least their Twitter has been compromised. Rob might be able to answer that. Rob, can you answer Charlie? What's the best place right now to read the WikiLeaks emails? Oh yeah, when we were kids, way before I was known, played with a Ouija board. I was not allowed to play with a Ouija board when I was little because my mom had a really scary experience with it when she was young. But I had a friend who had an older brother when I was in middle school, and she had this older brother in high school, and he made his own Ouija board. He like burned the letters in. That was really scary. He was scary. I'm sure he's a very nice guy now, but he was terrifying to me. And we used to play with that and had some very weird things. I do not recommend it. It's like, even if you're getting information that is things that are things that come true, you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know if this is something good or bad that you're yeah, I know WikiLeaks, but all right, thanks. So yes, Charlie, go to WikiLeaks. You can actually do searches and stuff in there, so if you're looking for something specific. I generally call refer to pizza party when I want to get around censors. Pizza party. Yes, that works. Podesta emails. You never had cable. That's good. TV rots your brains. Pizza blank is the thing that woke me up. It put me on a path of much research. I've used your first video to wake up, oops, I lost it, others with good responses. Oh, good. That makes me feel really good. I mean, that's what it's there for. I always am, you know, trying to think of what the next thing should be. I do think that covering some of these basic pillars is really important. I think particularly for my channel, this is what I see for my channel. But then again, we've got so much stuff going on day to day, and I also want to kind of, you know, correlate my information with some of that stuff that's coming out, because that's going to grab people too. If you're seeing something happening on the news in real time and then you're like, you know, looking into something, I think it speaks more. But, you know, for example, I was working on this whole Nexium thing. Like, that Nexium thing was huge, and it was huge news that day, those couple days, and then all of a sudden we've just blown completely past that, and we've got other huge things now to talk about, like Epstein. But again, I do know that the Nexium stuff is going to become, you know, relevant again and come full circle and have to do with, you know, I think even tie into Epstein. But, you know, even when I was talking to my girlfriends the other day, I was like, you know, have you guys heard about what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein or whatever? And they were like, oh, you mean Trump's friend? And I was like, no, no. But you can't blame them. That's literally what they're getting. They don't know. They don't know that they're being lied to. Why on earth, when you're a good person and you're not out there doing things like that to other people, why on earth would you just assume you're being lied to? You're never gonna do that. Ow, 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 my leg is asleep again. I always have to sit on I'm like down here when I'm talking to you guys, so I sit on my foot to raise myself up. I suppose I could lower it. Oh, you know what? I was gonna show you. I keep talking about this, the painting that I got. And I was gonna wait and do a big reveal because I have another frame for it, and I have to paint the frame first. Ow, ow, ow. So I was gonna do that, but should I just show it to you now and show you what I'm gonna replace Pretty Dude with? You guys wanna see? Let's see who's gonna be the first person to get who this is. Oh, it's kind of shiny, so maybe you can't see. Dun, da, da, dun. Can you guys see it? There, that's a little bit better. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? Does anybody know who this is? Tesla! Ding, ding, ding! You guys are good. Yeah, my mom bought me this painting. I'm so excited. So I have a frame for it. I have to take another painting that's in there out and then paint it because it's this really ugly baby poop color. I'm gonna paint it black, and then I have to figure out how to stretch a canvas and get that in there, but then that's gonna go behind me. Woo-hooty! I know, I was really excited about that. You know, again, my mother was one of those people that started looking at me cross-eyed as soon as I started talking to her about all of this, and I never told her, you know, I didn't ask her to buy that for me. She like looked it up on her own and bought it for me as a gift. And so this is what I'm talking about, planting those seeds, people. You never know. Baby poop is a good shade. Yes, just ask the 60s. They loved it. Anything that was the color of vomit or diarrhea was just hotter than shit in the 60s and 70s. No pun intended. What was it with the 60s and 70s that was just so god-awful ugly? Did everybody lose their taste? Just like everything went out the window. You've got like avocado refrigerators and toilets and sinks. And now they're becoming cool again. I saw that, you know, they're starting to make those like weird colored toilets and sinks, and that's like the new craze. And I'm just like, didn't we learn the first time? Tattoo. Can you guys see? That's the only one. I've got bugs in here. Anything else? Was there anything else that happened today? I mean, oops. I think that was all I had. I mean, I know I could go to my Twitter and just see. Let's just do that really fast. I'm sure there'll be, every time I end these, I'm always like, I always think about a million things that I wanted to talk about and didn't get to. How do I get to, I never come on Twitter on my computer. It's like this, it's like very strange. Whoa, is that what my page looks like? So we talked about Seth Rich. Oh, we've got lovely Ilan Omar said, quote, Trump is unapologetically racist, and if you support him, so are you. So that's fun. We could go into her and talk about how she married her brother and yada yada. I believe there'll be an investigation into her soon. Possibly we will find out more about that. We talked about Adam Schiff. Praying Medic says, don't worry, Adam Schiff. The NSA videos of your, quote, activities at the Standard Hotel will have logs and metadata proving their authenticity. TikTok. Oh yeah, confirmed birth date of Ilhan Omar's brother husband on wedding certificate matches his high school records. Shit posting. Yeah, I think that was it. Oh, Google shares slide as Trump agrees companies should be investigated. There's always just a million things going on. But try not to kill bugs. I know I had my door open today, so I've got like gnats and like bugs and stuff flying around my house. I try not to kill them. I don't kill most bugs. My son actually thinks that we have a pet moth and he named it Lady. And we had a moth in our house, and then he wanted it to be our pet. And then I had to secretly, I told him I was gonna go put it in the other room, but I secretly put it outside and was just like hoping that he would not ask me about it again. And then he didn't for a couple days, and then we had another moth in our house, and he was like, oh, there's Lady. And I was like, oh yeah, there she is. And then I had to put that one outside. Bless his little heart. Kids are so dumb. Did you read the article that Edge of Wonder suggested? Do you mean the one about, what was it? Was it Eric Schmidt's former lover? Is that the one you're talking about? That is the one. I read most of it. I'm gonna get killed because I was supposed to read it. I was supposed to read it like a million times, and yeah, I read most of it. But, you know, I have that, like, if I would have found it on my, like, they had already talked about it. They do a great job talking about things and getting people's eyes on it. And I guess I have this feeling that, like, that's already out there. And, like, I'm trying to work to talk about things that maybe they're not talking about or other people aren't talking about. So, which sucks because that's a very interesting article or whatever. But my focus has just been, like, all over the place. Oh, thank you so much. Adam Schiff was projecting about deepfake videos coming up in the future. Indeedly doodly. Most of it. Yeah, I didn't read all of it. Sorry. It's really good, though. I really liked it. It's really interesting. That is really interesting. Oh, did I put below? There is a... I did, I think. Let me just look at this really fast. So a couple things. One was this Neon Revolt article. It got taken down. This video that I had linked below, I think it got taken down. It was basically a guy talking about the Jeffrey Epstein Mossad connection. But I thought it was interesting, especially after this Neon Revolt. Let's see. Oh, was it Neon Revolt? Let us see. Open. What is this? Okay, I have links below. I don't even know where they came from. What is this? Yeah, this is not what I meant to put on there. Anyway, It was basically an article about Jeffrey Epstein. Well, no, it was more about what's his name, Acosta, not Jim Acosta, the AG from Miami, who was working on the 2007 case of Epstein. Anyway, that he had come out and said that he was basically told informally to back off of the Epstein case because this guy was, quote, intelligence. And so that's very interesting. Why would Jeffrey Epstein be intelligence? Are they talking about US intelligence? And then you've got this other guy, this video that I tried to link below, but it looks like it's been deleted already. I saw it, I've been seeing it for a couple days and people have been sharing it. Excuse me, maybe somebody else has it. But where he's talking about the Mossad Jeffrey Epstein connection. So that's interesting. And, you know, that kind of gets into the whole honeypot topic that we're not going to get into today, but I think soon we might start talking about that more because that is a very important topic. You know, we're talking about honeypots like potentially Epstein Island, potentially other famous mansions where you've got the setup to basically gain blackmail material over people so that you can control them. Was that possibly what Epstein's Island was? According to Q, yes. So, yeah, so that is another reason why we feel like the Epstein, this whole Jeffrey Epstein stuff resurfacing is a huge domino and is going to start linking to a lot more people, because if he was this intelligence asset that was in place to, you know, gain information on these people and possibly blackmail material, that means that he knows some bad things about some very important people. So it's another reason why we hope he doesn't get bail, other than he does not deserve it. He does not deserve to get out of prison. I mean, come on, what do you have to do to get in trouble these days? Like, seriously. You've got dozens of young women talking about experiences that they had with him when they were children that all corroborate each other's stories, and we're saying that he's like not a flight risk. If there is somebody that is a flight risk more than him, please tell me who it is. A billionaire who owns his own islands and planes and has passports from Saudi Arabia and who knows where else. Tell me this person is not a flight risk. Anyway, I don't even know how I got started on that, but I lost myself. Definitely CIA and Mossad, I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking too. And I'm bummed that video is gone because it was good. If I find it up somewhere else, I'll share it with you guys. I'll put it back down in the links below. I don't even know what else is down there. I'm like embarrassed. I'm like, did I put like my ex-boyfriend's Facebook page down there? I'm just kidding. I don't even have an ex-boyfriend. Nobody likes me, and I don't go to Facebook. But yeah, don't even, I know. Oh, here we go. No, that's the Gateway Pundit article. What's this? This is, you know what? Maybe I just messed up the links. Yeah, because none of these really seem to be working. I'll fix that later. Sorry about that, guys. Why haven't the Clintons ever been under the microscope? Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, the blackouts. Thank you for reminding me. I think before I went live, I saw there was one going on right now in, oh, thank you, Rob. Let's see if that's, uh-oh, that's gonna take me away from here. But, yep, that's it. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, blackouts. And then I saw last night when I was going to bed, so we had the DC, we had New York, then we had DC, and last night we also had LA, and from what I was seeing in the reports, it was like a massive area. It was like LA, Riverside, like between LA and Orange counties, this huge area was having a blackout. And then I saw Michigan, right? Manhattan, Montana. If it's the Mossad video with the old man talking, it works for me. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, DC was black, so yeah, interesting. So again, Does that, is that what we, does that come from cues like literally talking about how blackout is necessary and yada yada? Possibly. It does seem very weird to me that there would be these massive blackouts happening in these major cities kind of back to back. And plus, in New York, I mean, they were saying it was a transformer or something. Is one transformer really responsible for like all of Manhattan? That's very strange. I screwed up the links. You were blacked out in OC. That sounds fun. What about Notch? Why doesn't he have a microscope? I don't know who Notch is. I just got this weird headache all of a sudden. I'm being attacked by direct energy weapons. They're coming after me now. I've got 90 people in the chat. I'm too much of a, I'm too important now. They're gonna kill me. Yeah, it was 11 o'clock at night. I'm seeing somebody say they live in OC and they didn't have a blackout. I was hearing that from other people too, but I was also hearing from people that lived in Orange County and New York and LA that they were having blackouts. So possibly it was just in like isolated areas. I did see the map though, and the map looked like it was covering most. But if it was at 11 o'clock at night and you're perhaps sleeping, if you're like me and go to bed at 7:30, then you were already night and you wouldn't know. Powerful people connected. Phoenix 2. Remember, Kate? Phoenix what? Oh, thank you so much. I don't know if the last one went through, but I finally remembered my Google password. Thank you so much. Which cities had blackouts? Okay, so if you guys can help me with this. We know New York and DC for sure. I was seeing LA and where else? And then right before I was going live, oh, I'm looking for my phone. It's right there. I saw New Jersey was having a blackout. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But the New York and the DC ones were pretty. I mean, because blackouts can happen all the time, but those being back to back was pretty interesting. You have a headache too? Oh my gosh, they're coming after all of us. They're on us, you guys. They found us. Yes, this is live now. Phoenix blackout due to manhole fire. Seriously, I didn't see that, but that's what they're saying everywhere. I didn't see that. That's really interesting. I'll have to look for that when I get off of this. Because all of these things, there have been a ton of like these manhole, and remember when a manhole cover, like several manhole covers blew off, and what city was that the other day? And then we've had several fires in manholes that I've been seeing. It's like some of this stuff isolated, you see a story on its own and you're just like, okay, that's weird. There was a fire in a manhole. But once you start paying attention and seeing that it's happening like all over the country, you have to say to yourself, what is that? What is going on? Are these things connected? I wonder, I bet there's some like anon out there that is compiling all of the manhole. It's covering the manhole. Shut up, you guys. I'm trying to concentrate. Denver, thank you. DC here didn't lose power. Well, a big majority, including the area surrounding the White House, did. I was looking at pictures from that. And again, blackouts do happen, I think, during the summer because people are overloading with their air conditionings or whatever. But I think the night that it happened in New York, it was like a pretty mild summer day, right? Anyone else seeing 44 minutes past the hour multiple times a day? Yep, I've got numbers chasing me too. Usually it's 3 4s or 3 3s or 11 11. Ow, something bit me, I think. This is gonna sound weird, but I hope my city, Chicago, gets hit with one because the night sky without city light pollution looks amazing. Yeah, that is. I remember seeing, there was once a really a massive blackout in Los Angeles, and people were calling in that there was this like suspicious cloud or suspicious gas like flying over LA, and it was literally the Milky Way. These people had never seen it before, and people were like calling 911. So I think that's pretty funny. Weather balloon, manhole cover, yes. Yes, they didn't get to blame the heat this time. Exactamundo. My Citizen app in New York City is constantly giving me alerts about manhole explosions and fires. Are you sure that's not Grindr? Giving you updates on manholes. I'm the worst, you guys. If you leave now, I don't blame you. Oh, R. Kelly ordered held without bond. Thank you for reminding me of that too. You're awesome. That's awesome. Again, this seems like some isolated, just happens to be another isolated, famous pedophile. Don't believe it, guys. Don't buy it. They're all connected, I really think. At least just in that they have been protected. But I believe it's more sinister than that. I have a lot of number chasing me too. I really don't think we should ignore that. Very important. Yeah, I definitely don't ignore it, but I also don't know what to make of it. I know a few people that are super into like numerology and numbers and all of these things, and they'll come to me and be like, Kate, did you know that this date is this, this, and this, and then if you add it to this and then subtract this and then multiply it by the molecular magnetism between the alignments of the planets, like it's way over my head, and so I literally just can't pay attention because I don't get it. But it's interesting, and I notice it, and my friends notice it too, and so we're always telling each other, but I don't really know what the meaning is. You asked that bug to bite me because I didn't read that Google article. You're mean. You and your operatives. Oh, when we were at the shore, my teens and friends' kids, turned the pool lights out, and the sky was just incredibly beautiful. I even saw my first UFO. That's awesome. Hey, Kate, tomorrow's my B-Day. I just wanted you to know, mentioning my bug comment made me feel warm, and I'm pretty sure that was my big present. Well, John, happy birthday. I hope it is wonderful. I hope that you eat cake and that you feel wonderful on your birthday. Happy birthday. There's a U.S. destroyer off the coast of Epstein Island, complete with backhoe. I saw that. So, and thank you, by the way. I saw that. So, does this mean that we think that they're there, like going to dig things up? Is this, possibly in relation to we know where the bodies are buried? There definitely looks like we also know that they were filling tunnels, right? Or collapsing tunnels or whatever. Do I have any friends single, ready to mingle? I don't have any friends. Other than you, Joe. But you already know you. So yeah, I don't know about that. And the last I saw, somebody was saying that like they were sending that drone and on out there to get pictures or find out or get to the bottom of it or whatever. But I think that didn't happen or wasn't going to happen or whatever. But yeah, that's interesting. I want to see that island dug up, turned upside down. I might be crazy, but I think it's like a child realized parents' sounds are actually words of their community. But sometimes, yeah, I read these things out of order because I miss a lot and I don't know what you guys are talking about. Hopefully I'm making sense to you. That's all that matters. And I doubt I am. Nuh-uh, tomorrow's not your birthday too. I'm not singing to you. Is it really your birthday? Happy birthday if that's true. And if it's not, shame on you for getting an unsolicited birthday wish from me. Friends of the Friendless. Oh, that was a great, I Love Lucy. I loved that show. All your friends are scared of you now? Well, you got me. Whoa, my gosh. Hi. Thank you. It's Clegane Face. I'm everyone's friend. Send you some support for the work you do for Rob and Ben. Thank you so much. I'm happy to see you on here, and I always see you on Rob and Ben's chats and saying funny things and just being funny. You're from Australia, right? That's awesome. That was one of my favorite trips ever. I got to kiss a dingo, baby dingo on the nose. Thank you very much. Donkey face. 7/17/81. You're born in 81. That's funny because my birthday is all 1s and 7s and an 8. That's right, I'm only 16 for those of you doing math. Well, happy birthday. And it's a full moon tonight. I planned that for you guys. I had to call ahead. It was like one of those services where, like, you know, you can like name a star after somebody, only instead of that, you can actually get them to rotate the moon. That's not how that works. That's not how full moons work. That's okay. Whatever they had to do, I made sure that you guys would have a full moon tonight on your birthday. Yep, he's got the greatest username. Have you seen the first passenger flying drone? No, I haven't. That's interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. That sounds dangerous, but also really fun. Dingo took my baby. My birthday is January 7th. 2001. Actually, it's not. It's like a 4-day full moon or something. Yeah, I swear to God, we have a million. Every other time I turn around, they're like, oh, tonight is this super rare blood moon that only comes around every 587 years. And I'm like, wasn't there one last Thursday? Like there's always some moon event. I don't know, is it just because we're not, that I'm now paying attention to these things? Or are we really having more moon events? Doesn't seem possible. Or are these people lying? Tell me why we are always having some spectacular moon event. Oh, your uncle's birthday is January 7th? We also share that birthday, I believe, with Nicolas Cage and one other person, I can't remember. Abramovic. Ooh, why are we talking about her? Ooh, chills just went up my spine. Your birthday's all 1s and 7s too. Donkey Face is the Q of YouTube, concealed in mystery. It's true. Upside down moon. Bob is your uncle. Social justice needs a lot of moons. I guess so. We gotta blame all of these strange behaviors on just wackadoo lunar cycles, right? I love the blood moon, supermoon thing. You're right, it's the media making too much of nothing. Yes, I am a Capricorn. I actually just was reading about that the other day for some reason, and like looking into Capricorn or whatever. I've read that. I had a book on it when I was a teenager, but I'm not super into astrology and I don't really know about any of that stuff. But from what I've read as far as Capricorns go, I think I seem pretty Capricorny. Excuse me, they're very, I don't know, what are we, boring? We're very just kind of laser focused on one thing, and you know, you picture the goat just kind of trucking up the mountain, trot, 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 trot. That's me. But like not super, I don't know. I think the thing I read the other day said that I was almost like a wallflower. That doesn't seem right, but I don't know. I also am just kind of more of an observer when I go out. Capricorns are the wise ones, ambitious. I'll take that. Speaking of ghosts, Friday, July 17th, 1981, music in the UK ghost town by the Specials. Oh, are you giving us a playlist for our live chat? Yeah, you're a Capricorn and don't know anything about astrology. Maybe that's a Capricorn trait. Capricorns, not too into astrology. And then I'd also heard because of like, the chart is so old that you're really like the sign after you, which I think is Aquarius. And then I've read Aquarius things. I don't know. Did you see the new, Serial Brain 2? No, I haven't. Don't give away too much personal info. Well, I try, but you guys ask me questions and I don't know how to not talk. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so right before I went on live here, I also saw that there is, they've now released footage from the body cams of the officers that were on the scene of Isaac Cappy's death. So there is a YouTube channel called The Phoenix something. If somebody knows, maybe they'll link it. If not, I can maybe put it below. Anyway, you know, the body is pixelated out. I only watched a little bit of it just to kind of see what it was. I don't know if there's any like useful information from this or whatever, but just the fact of the matter that it's out there. And one thing that I did notice just from looking at it, the little bit that I did, is that again, something we've said before, the body cam, or I'm sorry, the bridge was like, if he would have jumped off feet first, he might not have even sprained an ankle. That's how low this bridge was. So, Phoenix Enigma, thank you. So yeah, that was something that I just saw right before I came on here. So I haven't watched the whole video. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know if that's, I don't know. That's something that I might wait for other people to do and look through and see if there's anything worth mentioning. But yeah, that's out there now. Again, oh, I think there's a lady on my door, or my window, waiting to come in. Were the police officers corrupt? I don't know. I mean, they were just there, you know, I haven't heard anything about that. I don't have any reason to believe that one way or another. In Pursuit of Truth, somebody is mentioning, that is another podcast that I hear great things about. I follow them on Twitter. They post great things. I haven't gotten around really to listening to really any podcasts. Your mom's a Libra and she is, oh sorry, I jumped. Malignant borderline? Well, that's nothing. When you have teenage kids, they will hate you more. Can't wait. I know. Well, as for right now, my child still loves me. He's still dumb. You know, he's dumb enough to believe that we have a pet moth. So he's dumb enough to love me. Oh, thanks, Rob. Rob's like a good little worker drone for me tonight. iPot is due for a gut-busting burn. Oh, I don't know what that means. How old am I? Old enough to know better. And I love your name. It's a good one. His channel is really funny. Oh, really? That's good. I love it. I love people that can do it with a sense of humor. I know, but I am careful about the personal information I give out, but also there's like nothing secret about me that really isn't already out there. But I don't give you guys too much, do I? Should I be doing these videos in silent films now? Like just like go black and white, and I'll have like an organ player over here, and I'll just type all my responses to you. Drone Anon, we talked about that. I think that's all I have for you guys. Unless anybody has any specific questions. There are recordings of police scanners with officers discussing multiple locations, Vegas shooting. Oh, it was a hit gone awry, and the Saudi crown prince. Have you heard this? Yeah, that was actually one of the things I tried to get into with my girlfriends the other day that made them go cross-eyed. Was that Las Vegas shooting it was Mohammed bin Salman, right, was in the Mandalay Bay. So Mandalay Bay is Mandalay Bay up until the top 2 floors, I believe, which are owned by, it's a different hotel, it's the Four Seasons, and it's owned by a Saudi prince, right? And so this is where Mohammed bin Salman was staying, and supposedly Trump was in Vegas at the same time, and yeah. I also, while that was happening live, went on, I believe it was Instagram, it was either Instagram or Twitter, and I was watching some of these videos live, and I did see, while it was happening, somebody was broadcasting live, and I did see the fire coming out of the Mandalay Bay that did look like it was coming both from the kind of area above where the taxi cabs park, I think. There's like an overhang, and then also one coming from a window. That's what I thought I saw. Anyway, I never saw that video again after that. But then I saw other videos that kind of looked like the same thing. So that's a really interesting story. There are, shoot, I don't even know where you would find that. And that was so long ago. Al-Walid bin Talal is the guy behind Mandalay Bay. Okay, thanks. But bin Salman is the good one, right? And he's the one in power now. And so after the shooting happened, like a week or so later, you had a roundup of all of these corrupt people within Saudi Arabia, right? Including like there were like 9 princes or something, all got kind of rounded up and, you know, imprisoned or whatever. And so people were making connections between these two things, saying that it was, am I going to get in trouble for talking about this? I'm like, I don't even know what I can talk about anymore. But basically saying that these were connected, that this was actually a hit, and that Stephen Paddock was a gun runner, basically supplying the weapons for this person, for these people, which would make sense because if you are a crown prince of Saudi Arabia, you travel with a security detail that is not just a couple people, right? You've got an entire army. And if you were going to try to assassinate somebody like this, you would need an army of people and a ton of guns. So, yeah, so whatever happened between the, and then this is also, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, to those of you in here that maybe know more better than I do. This would have been after the what's the word I'm looking for? They infiltrated the shipment of the unencryptable iPhones, iPads, computers, right, for these deep state people. They intercepted the White House, the good people, the good guys, intercepted this shipment and replaced these with their own basically tracking devices, these phones that they could now monitor. So I think that the White Hats were tipped off to this possible attempted assassination, maybe through that channel. And then they got him out of there, and then, yeah, then you had the whole kind of cleaning up of Saudi Arabia that very next week. Remember what Kate can take away. F all the haters, amigo. Have fun and keep up the good work. For Rob and Ben, gotta go. Deals to do. Thank you so much. I'm honored to have you here watching, and thank you. I really appreciate that a lot. But I don't work for Rob and Ben. Rob works for me, apparently, because he's the one putting in all my, I said shipment? Sorry. Shipment. The good question is FBI or CIA. CFM has fat stacks to throw around. Yep, apparently he is an international man of mystery. That is for sure. Donkey face. There were accounts in Las Vegas that people heard shootings at various locations in the Strip around the same time of the shooting. Yeah, and then you also had the, I don't know if that's been like debunked or whatever, but it looked like somebody being escorted out with machine guns, and then people were saying that it was the owner of Mandalay Bay or something that was being escorted through the casino with in just regular clothes, but with a bunch of people with machine. I mean, you've got like 12 people walking through, protecting somebody with machine guns, walking through a casino. Like everybody takes their phone out. So there was video footage of that. Flight Radar 24 has assassins being flown in and out shortly before and after. CUNT is a positive thing in Australia, in case anyone's getting butthurt over the current language. Hey, it's a fun word. Who cares? But yeah. The Crown Prince was escorted out. Okay, yeah, so that's what I thought too. So anyway, that's a very interesting, because that is another thing that I think has a lot of people's, or had a lot of people's attention, something that people still, it doesn't sit right with them. No matter what they've heard, no matter how much of the mainstream media that they watch and believe, etc., I think most people, it left a bad taste in their mouth, as far as like, it made absolutely no sense. The narrative that we were given, the story we were given made no sense. The fact that we somehow didn't have video footage of this man carrying in this arsenal, until way later. And, you know, who he was didn't add up and whatever. So I did find that that was, you know, I think interesting to people who don't kind of follow along with this stuff. Am I from Australia? No, I'm not, but I've been there before. I mean, no, I haven't. James Elephantis. Uh-oh, why are we... I missed why ever he came up. But yes, very fishy indeed, exactly. It was the way he was brought out. Guns pointed at civilians, so weird. That did strike me as weird too. So, yar. If I find something on that, maybe we'll do another video another time, or at least I'll link something that has more of a better explanation than what I just gave. But I did think that was interesting. And you can look up, you know, the date of the Las Vegas shooting, and then also go and look up the news happenings from the next week in Saudi Arabia, and then, you know, just kind of expand your thinking. And remember that he was supposedly in that same, I mean, it's a separate hotel, but it's basically the Mandalay Bay at that same time. Number one question, where is the Vegas surveillance video? These are casinos. Exactly. And thank you. It definitely, you know, just reeks of something gross. Uh-oh, trolls are coming. They're on to us, guys. They've sent their bitey bugs and their brain tumors, and now they've got the trolls coming out, so maybe this is my sign to go. I also do need to go eat dinner. But thank you guys so much for being here, and I'm sure there'll be a million more things tomorrow. We'll see. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just because. Mostly Twitter. Instagram, I don't even care if you follow me on Instagram. Just follow me on Twitter, because most of the time it's easier for me if you guys have seen what I've been tweeting about or retweeting all day, because that's usually the stuff I'm talking about in here. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Hasta luego.